I was at the American Fantasy Association had a conference in Philadelphia over the weekend, so I went. They wanted me to do a keynote address.
Mm.
And man, you know what? As soon as I walked in that place and I looked at the classes and the different lectures that were happening, there is so much pressure put on people through cancel culture to that you are supposed to have fantasies about getting pegged, and if you don't, then you're contributing to the patriarchy. I just thought that was fascinating. If your fantasies aren't of you being somehow dominated by a woman, if you don't bring that into your fantasy repertoire, then you are, misogynist.
That's politics. That's politics. People say that. People go along with that because they want to get ahead. You know what I mean? You take the same people back in time 50 years. It's all about menage a trois. You know what I mean? That would be the thing that you would be promoting to get ahead in these nonprofits, in these institutions. So it's whatever's in vogue politically to show your dedication to the program. Yeah. So really, it's just business. You don't get worked up about it. It's just business. It's what you got to do to get ahead.
Yeah. And I went up to one of the people that was hosting the conference, and I'm like, "This is really interesting and thought provoking. I would be cool if you wanted to peg me." And they didn't even make eye contact with me. They just walked away.
They weren't about it for real.
No, it's just a bunch of hypocrites. Talking about how if I don't have a fantasy about getting pegged, there's something wrong with me. And they pull up in like a $100,000 car.
It's mainstream fantasy.
Yeah, it is big fantasy. A lot of these people are underwritten by like Boeing and BP and Merck and Pfizer and all these other big corporations. Whereas guys like you and me, more you because you're my Lopez Nation. I'm trying to make a buck off this thing, but you're just trying to keep it pure, and I don't know. It's just frustrating.
People, I knew that when I started talking, people would hate what I had to say. That I would be a pariah, treated like a leper. I knew that that's the consequences, and that's what I took on. That's my lot in life. I'm gonna pay for it, but at the end of the day, I can sleep at night.
Welcome to the Fantasy Cast podcast, where three grown men pass the time by sharing their deepest, darkest fantasies. Here we go.
John's still editing the last podcast. God knows what's going on. I see him promoting other things on his Instagram account. It's fucking insane. The fuck, man? Finish that shit. Promote. I was like, does he not want to do it? I don't get it, man.
I mean, all I've seen him doing is just putting like pictures of his daughter up.
That's not good enough. I guess you don't want the two colliding. Anywho, I guess we don't need to get into it.
He did buy a ski boat, which I thought was pretty excessive.
He bought what?
Like one of those water ski boats, like a Ski-Doo.
How much does one of those cost?
I don't know, but I know that the time he spent sitting at the dealership and then driving around fucking Lake Erie in the dead of winter and like photographing himself with one of those selfie sticks. He does that thing that you see a lot of people doing where they're like skating down a big hill and they're like holding the selfie stick and like showing everybody how fast they're going. He did that in like,
and they're just staring at it while their head's like slightly bobbing.
Yeah, he's doing that in like frigid Lake Erie.
Okay. I just hope this episode eventually comes out.
Yeah, he's doing that instead of editing.
Okay. I guess he's got more going on than I do.
So I know, one thing you and I both watched a movie, not not together, but we kind of synced.
Yeah, well, let me take it.
So we're both watching.
Can I take it from the top? Take it from the top. There's a really interesting synchronicity happened this week. Out of the blue, I text John and Nathan. John never fucking responds ever. Anywho,
do you think it's because he doesn't like us?
Yeah, I think I don't know what it is. It's a power thing. And anyways, I say I would love. Let me look it up. It was a pretty good text. I text, would love to be big tree lumberjacks with you two guys on a long tour. We get hosted by a household of farm women and we bathe, shave, tend to our wounds in front of them shirtless. And we ask for nothing more. In the morning, we are gone like we were never there. I send that text. A couple minutes later. Oh, wait, I'm sorry. John says, I should be done with my Diane Lane part tomorrow. This was like 3 days ago. Nathan says, did you get to that part in Fury where Brad Pitt gets that young guy some pussy? So right off the bat, you knew that I was watching the movie Fury, which was a recent addition to Netflix. And if you guys haven't seen this movie, I definitely recommend checking it out. It's a throwback to classic World War II cinema. Group of guys on a mission. The cards are stacked against them, and yeah, they learn a lot about themselves, and a couple characters completely change from beginning to end. So in the movie, Brad Pitt and a young guy was like, Brad Pitt's seen a lot of war. This other character hasn't seen a lot of war at all. And the whole movie is him getting initiated by Brad Pitt into murdering Nazis. The one class of people that deserve no mercy. You know what I mean? Every single one of them is evil. And they should be tortured and murdered. And Brad Pitt is trying to teach him that this is the right thing to do, which it is. And it's kind of like he's... Well, you kind of pointed it out in a sexual scenario that you envisioned would expand on this movie.
Yeah, so Brad Pitt and this young buck enter. They capture a German town, small, just German farm town. Really, they're like trying to purge the Nazis from these apartment buildings, and they enter into this apartment building where there's a woman, maybe in her late 30s, early 40s, brunette, stunning, fair skin, short dress, short for the time. You could tell she's seen some shit. And Brad Pitt is like, who else is in the house with you? And she's like, nobody. And Brad Pitt hears some rustling in the bedroom. So he busts open the door, and in there is this beautiful young woman, just beautiful blonde woman who's just looks so fair and innocent, but at the same time strong and brave, strong-willed and brave. And so Brad Pitt and this greenhorn kid are sitting around basically like making themselves comfortable in this apartment because now they've been on the road. They are stinky. They are hungry. They are dirty. They are horny. But they have enough respect for their present company not to be oafish about it, like some of the other soldiers who are out, whipping their dicks around, running trains on people, men and women, and just all sorts of debauchery outside. And Brad Pitt, he's washing up, he's toweling off his face, and he asks the women to make him some food, make him some coffee. He sits down. There's a tense kind of an atmosphere going on because you're not sure, is Brad Pitt one of the bad ones? Is he going to try to force himself on these women? It's hard to tell. So he says to this young kid, he's like, listen, you better take this fair Fräulein into this bedroom here and make love to her, because you're both young and you're both alive, and who knows how long that's going to be the case.
Okay, now stop.
So that's the setup.
That's the setup.
That's the sexual setup. Yeah.
Okay, things happen in the movie. It's not important. The movie sucks. Garbage. Don't watch it. Only good thing about it is just watching this stellar cast. Michael Pena, Jon Bernthal, Brad Pitt, Shia LeBouf. I mean, can you imagine how horny that set is? how sexually charged it is. I mean, these guys are at the top of their game. Each one is cut like a fucking diamond. Showering together, bathing together. You know they're in the wilderness. Just so dirty. I mean, the makeup's dirty, but then you get dirty. I've been on sets of movies and you get dirty. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? So just
it's not like there's
that.
running water in some of these places.
Not at all. Not at all. The boys went hard on this one. And boy, can you tell when you watch it. It is very hot. Nathan came up with this great idea. Brad Pitt and the older woman are having sex side by side with the young man and the younger woman. And they both look at each other. They're both laying down on the ground and they hold hands. And it's like, what's the dynamic there? What do you see?
So this young man is looking over at Brad Pitt, huffing and puffing, laying into this woman. And he's seeing himself, in 20 years, fucking what it would look like for him to be fucking. And at the same time, Brad Pitt is looking over at this young kid having sex with this younger woman and seeing himself as a boy having sex, right? And there's this there's this intense connection that they have. And you thought it really sexy.
Hold hands.
They're holding hands. They both pull out at the same time.
Simultaneously scream coming together.
They both rope on the floor. Just the biggest fucking puddle of clown you ever seen in your entire life. These guys, I'm telling you, they might not have gotten hard since landing on D-Day.
Yeah. We're talking cans of soup. Picture cans of soup. You know what I mean? Yes.
Yeah. And it just pools there. The young guys come and Brad Pitt's come just kind of like pool together. Think of like Mercury being like
Terminator 2.
Yeah, Terminator 2, Mercury just like folding together at the center. And then the young girl thinks this is so like touching and cute. She's European, so this is so beautiful. This is the most beautiful. Life is so beautiful, even in all this war and all this wreckage. I can see this beauty here, and these two generations coming at the same time. And she's like, "Ich bin eine Siemenhund." And she starts playing around on the ground like she's a puppy and like barking, and she starts licking up the cum. And Brad Pitt and this young guy are just laughing and laughing.
Yeah. She gets offended. Her face gets red. She gets offended for a second. She grabs a cup a little bit, hurls it at both of them. Okay, things freeze.
Yeah.
They're like, oh shit, like, are they gonna get really pissed off? They look at each other and they start laughing. And then the grown woman is laughing. And the young man says, well, what are you laughing at? Grabs a wad, slaps it in her face. She's upset for a second, but then they all start laughing. And it would just be such a cool scene to have them just like running playfully around the apartment, just covered in just like reams and reams of goop, dripping from them. And like, just how free and like what a relief that must be in the middle of a war, one of the most fucked up wars that ever has had happened in history.
Like literally bombs dropping around them, and they thought it'd be really funny to try on some of these women's clothes, and prance around. And
they dress like the women dress like the soldiers, and the boy runs out the window and he's like, "I'm in love," and the soldiers are like making fun of him, throwing like bread at him and stuff, and saying like, hey, you think the kid thinks he's in love? What an idiot! He closes.
The kid finally popped his cherry.
Yeah, they're like making fun of him.
Yeah, and I thought it would also be really hot and interesting if Brad Pitt and the kid were like, you girls, you take a load off, you go lay down, have a cigarette. He brings them like a newspaper and they're reading it, and thought it'd be cool if the Brad Pitt and the kid went and cooked them up some eggs.
Yeah.
Like, you guys take a load off. Then they maybe came back, gave them a back rub, they ate their eggs.
Brad Pitt has like a mop as a wig. Like that.
He's
kind of
prancing
stuff
around in a dress. Just a little cute, fun little role reversal. They're playing house. They're pretending that these women are them in another life, coming home from work, putting their feet up, reading the newspaper, having a cigarette. And Brad Pitt and this kid are the wives, mincing around in these like provocative dresses, showing undies and everything. And they just think it's just so much fun, so delightful. Anyways, Brad Pitt is like, you guys would make a really cute couple to the kid and this young girl. And he's like, you know what, you ought to get married. We could have a wedding. We can have a wedding for you guys. They get the soldiers together and they have this like they think they're all just like captivated by this idea of having a wedding and how playful and fun it would be. Like the whole battalion is chipping in. There's guys that are running out and like picking just like the most pathetic Charlie Brown ass fucking flower bouquets, out of like weeds by the side of the road and shit. Dumb. But it's so charming and delightful. Yeah. Brad Pitt he fixes a handkerchief to make it look like he's a priest. He's the officiant. There's some local prostitutes that are the bridesmaids, because there's not a lot of women here.
And picture this. There's rows of soldiers dressed up in drag. You know what I mean? The men are all dressed up as women, wearing like with pillows as bosoms and like, like bad wigs and stuff like that, and like eyeliner and bad makeup. And all the women are dressed up as soldiers. And zooming into this wedding, this wedding being officiated by Brad Pitt. Brad Pitt's wearing like a collar and then just like a net, and you can see his entire naked body, and he has lipstick on and that mop wig on, and there's bombs going off. Okay, there's like dust falling from the ceiling. The lights are flickering, and they're officiating this wedding.
Yeah.
And I just think that would be a really powerful, perfectly symmetrical zoom.
Yeah.
On these
that'd
two
be great.
kids. Yeah, I think that would really be good.
Yeah, I think Shia LeBouf would make a really good. He's like the ring bearer, the ring bearer, and then
he's on all fours, and he's wearing like a World War II thong.
And for some reason, it's like, when you see a dog as the ring bearer, and they like put the ring on the dog's back. Yeah. For some reason, even though he's capable of walking, he's still on all fours, crawling down the aisle. And then Johnny or Michael Pena is the flower girl, throwing this raggedy, muddy, basically weeds up in the air, but just having so much fun with it and just prancing around.
And really cool.
Yeah, and they get to the altar, and there's just one ring, and it's some ring that they took off a dead Nazi or something. And the kid who's getting married is like, "Oh my God, I'm so sorry. We only have one ring." And Johnny Burns is like, "Oh, wait, you guys wait right there. You guys wait right there." And he runs over to the tank. He goes underneath it. He gets a wrench, and he unscrews and he gets a washer from the tank. Oh, and he just brings it over. His hands are cupped. People are like, "What's in his hands? What's in his hands?" He opens it up, and his hands are just absolutely filthy and torn up from war. Jesus. And he's got this tiny, just like washer ring in there, and he hands it to her.
So good.
And the kid puts it on her finger, and it's just such this touching, beautiful moment.
Yeah.
Somebody's playing an out of tune violin. Somebody's has like a flute.
Oh yeah, they made
like a recorder. Like they make their own instruments. Yeah. There's a guy doing a jug,
pot and pan, like a pan and a spoon, just banging it.
Yeah,
I think that'd be cool. I mean, it was just add like 30 more minutes to the movie in the middle, and then it goes back to like I didn't actually finish the movie. Yeah, I'm assuming they all die at the end, but I just think that would make the movie better. I think people would remember this movie more if it was like that.
So at the end of the movie, they basically have a final stand that goes on forever, where they just like hold up in this tank and have this like ridiculous standoff. That's completely.
Oh really?
Yeah, but I think they should cut that part.
Yeah.
right? They see the Nazis coming. They all just decide to take the coward's way out and eat a bullet. That's the end of the movie, you know. And from that saved time, they can have this really beautiful, touching wedding ceremony.
Oh yeah. The Brad Pitt shoots himself in the head, and he's outside the tank. He's looking up, and he just starts laughing.
Yeah,
as the camera's twirling upward, and then it's the camera tilts up to the sky, and it's a sepia toned still image of the wedding.
Yeah,
you know what I mean.
Yeah,
and then it freezes, and he's in there, like kind of shining like a little bit, and the credits just roll over that image.
You want to hear something crazy? Is that's the final shot of the movie? I'm not even kidding. It's like the tank that they held off the Nazis in, and it's just like panning up. It's pretty much what you described.
Whoa.
I also think it'd be cool if Johnny Burns went to blow his brains out, and he ended up just blowing off the front of his frontal lobe. So he basically gives himself a lobotomy, and he's just like, duh, duh. And the Nazis come up, and he's like drooling and falling over and throwing up and like trying to lick them and shit.
Yeah.
And they're just like, who is this guy?
They keep him around for a little bit.
Guy. Yeah.
And then they just like let him loose in the woods. He's such a dedicated actor that he wouldn't question it. He'd be a little pissed off. He'd be like, what? What do you mean you changed the script? All right, well, I guess that's what I'm gonna do then, dude.
If that's what I gotta do, that's what I gotta do. And they keep him on a leash, and he's really good at much like a pig, he's really good at finding different mushrooms. So there's just a lot of creative decisions. I think if they were tweaked just a little bit, this would be a really compelling movie.
Yeah.
I mean, with that cast, like, oof, there's so much you could do.
Yeah.
Do you think Shia would take some risks like that?
Oh yeah, I think Shia is ready to take risks. He was canceled, I think, for being anti-peg. I believe that's what happened. And
he didn't want to get pegged.
Yeah, another casualty of the peg agenda. Obviously, I'm not going to speak on it too much because I don't want to get caught up in it. I got to look out for my family. So it's hard out there.
Yeah. Do you think if the script called for Shia to cut off a Nazi's finger and like sneak away, and with it, he's got like one of those tiny little, those tiny little pans. They're more of a novelty that used to cook like a single egg.
Yeah.
Like he stole off with one of those, and he created himself a little fire, and he cooked up this finger and ate it. Do you think he would do that?
Yeah, he would do anything. This guy would do anything. He's a professional.
Yeah, he is a professional.
He wouldn't like it, but he'd do it. He's like John B.
Yeah.
I think that's a good idea if that's what you're really trying to get across.
I just think I think he's the only one who could pull it off. His character, I think he could sell it.
There's absolutely no doubt about it.
Yeah.
Let's see, you left some messages on the phone line.
Yeah.
Let's check it out. Okay, so we've been testing out the voice messaging thing. So this gives people who listen to the podcast an opportunity to send us questions, erotic stories, if they have questions about their love life, basically anything, political questions, absolutely anything, career questions, anything. Call 312-767-7943. Again, that's 312-767-7943. Or email us at fantcastpod@gmail.com. Again, that email is fantcastpod@gmail.com. Okay, here we go.
Yeah, I've got a fantasy where I've been, if there's some kind of apocalypse, and I've been kind of like sequestered in this like townhouse community. I can't leave, or all the entrances are blocked. For some reason, all the men have been either killed or they were out in the world and they can't get back in, whatever it is. But it's me surviving with a whole bunch of women, and starts off, I'm like king of the roost. I'm like doing all sorts of weird sex shit, and what happens in most of those situations is the law of the jungle kicks in, and the women realize that they outnumber me like 12-1, so they start dominating me in all sorts of crazy ways, beating me, torturing me, making me just like unloading their emotional baggage onto me, releasing all their grief by causing me pain and suffering and sexual torture. That's a fantasy.
Huh. That's cool.
Yeah, the last part, it didn't come in very well because I was jogging.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Oh, you're a busy guy too. It's very CEO of you to be documenting a fantasy while jogging. It's gotta be feel pretty powerful having other people see you on the phone while you're jogging.
Yeah, well, that's where I get all my ideas. So the idea behind the voicemail is like, you're just walking on the street, whatever, and a fantasy comes, you can just pick up your phone and call on the voicemail and drop the fantasy. So here I am taking a run, and I get this idea. So boop 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 boop, do, call up the voicemail, drop the fantasy on you guys. Boom 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 boom. You pick it up, you listen to it, put it out in the world, whatever.
It gets new life out in the world. It's not just yours anymore.
Yeah. Yeah. So I know you recorded one as well. Do you want to lay that on us?
I don't remember. This one was kind of like whiny, but let's check it out. Maybe we'll cut it out.
Hey, this is Mike. Just coming back from the Apple store. They took my computer in, so I can't really do any editing or make any videos or anything. I was just having a fantasy just now of just cherishing every moment that we have. I was aimlessly going through Instagram recently, and there's a clip of Rick Rubin talking about how people will work 20 years, 50 years to gain something, to become a millionaire, become a successful artist. And then when they get it, they're like, is this it? Is this all I wanted? And I was just thinking, the journey is the work and the journey. That's really what life is made out of. There's nothing at the end of the road that's going to make you feel fulfilled. So I was just having a fantasy that, wouldn't it be cool that I like being alive and needed to work on stuff to feel fulfilled, so that life is you just like life. I was just wondering what that would be like, fantasizing what kind of person I would be. Seems like it'd be someone who, just driving on the highway right now, they don't look at the highway and see just a gray, dirty, miserable experience. They are just like, this is life. I'm so grateful to be alive. What would that even be like? Can I be that person? All right, hang in there, guys. Love the podcast. Talk to you later. Bye.
That was really good.
It was all right.
No,
I was more like venting in that situation.
Fantasy is a fantasy.
Yeah, I don't know. Let's go on to the next one. And then I came up with another one. Let's see what it's like. So yeah, I just called the number. I called 312-767-7943. That number is 312-767-7943. 312-767-7943. 312-767-7943. 312-767-7943. 312-767-7943. 312-767-7943. Okay, let's check out this other one. I still don't remember the number.
Okay, I just had another idea. Fantasy. I have a teaching job. I'm tenured. I'm a tenured philosophy guy. I'm also into bodybuilding. I quit my job at the university and I start a bodybuilding auto repair place. And it's me and my friends, we're all in really good shape, hairless, covered in oil, and we help other men, and women to repair their cars and stuff. And we also work out. And I'm like an older guy. I'm bald, and I have like weird spots and stuff in my body, but I still have a good form, good shape. I mean, it's just me, and I call my employees my boys. And I have one female employee who's like a female bodybuilder, and I say, so I have to change it to my boys and my gal, and they're going to take good care of you. Just an idea. Maybe a documentary comes out later on that reveals it wasn't as clean and cool as it appeared to be from news footage and our internet presence. Steroid use, rage issues keep happening. Maybe one of my guys is like super strong, like gets so angry he like the hood off the car, or like if customers get annoying, we like fuck up their car really bad. Maybe someone cuts the car in half, like in any given Sunday. That was a cool part. Yeah, so like a bodybuilding mechanic place that has an interesting story. Is there a redemption at the end? I don't think so. I keep thinking of Vince McMahon, the disturbing allegations that came out recently. Maybe I will follow that same path, like I'm, just kind of a sick guy. I don't know, which is a fantasy. All right, bye.
Yeah, I like that. I like that fantasy a lot. I like the idea. As we've talked about before, like the place of business that doubles as like a bodybuilding sanctuary. So the more for the customers than the employees. Like it's great for the employees to be able to work out, but you can just sit back and, while your car's getting worked on, your oils change. You can just watch these hard bodies doing deadlifts, or curls, or squat thrusts,
bending over stuff,
over, and it's like spotting each other, and just how much fun that would be.
There's a volleyball. There's a volleyball, sand volleyball court set up in front.
Yeah, and I'm not talking about like just hanging out at the gym watching like a chubby guy do New Year's resolution stuff. I'm talking like professional bodybuilders who know what the fuck they're doing.
Professional people, professional gym people.
Yeah. Just roided to the gills. Definition, literally 0% body fat.
A group of people that found each other because they're all running from some trauma in their past.
Yeah.
And they found that being in the gym helps them live.
Yeah, it keeps them at like one arm's length away from the terrifying fear that's nipping at their heels, and reaching towards this salvation that is just keeps slipping away. So they're kind of in this place that's propelling them in the most urgent way to move forward.
Yeah, God, I can relate to that so much.
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of expressed in the first message a little bit. You know what I mean? Just
I mean, I think you set up problem and solution.
Yeah, you're right. I wrote one down.
Okay,
you want to hear it?
Yeah.
You got one?
Yeah, I've got one. I've been I can riff off of for sure.
Okay, let me just knock this one out. I wrote it earlier on. It's called The Garbage Man. I am a garbage man and I see a woman getting mugged while on the job. I beat the guy up and he says, "You haven't seen the last of me." I say, "Oh yeah, right. What you gonna do about it?" And while I'm taking my shirt off, and I have a bunch of tattoos, and it says things like redemption, pain, truth. There's a picture that says the old me, and he's locked behind prison bars. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
I'm just waiting to come out. The woman thanks me, and every year she gives me a big present for Christmas. She dances for me and lets me have no-hold sex with her. Do you know what no-hold sex is?
No holds barred.
You would think. It means I have to sit on a chair and my hands have to be under the chair at all times.
Oh.
Yeah. We do this for years and it's like no big deal or anything. One year in the fall, I notice a black car in her driveway that keeps showing up and is there often. I see a man taking measurements another time of the house and it seems like he is a yuppie. I'm picking up the garbage once and his car keeps honking at me to hurry up. I ignore him out of respect for the woman. One day, he has a cat in a sack, and he asks me to throw it away for him. I take the bag and throw the cat on him, and the cat hates him so bad and starts scratching him, and then the cat runs away. The man starts yelling at me, asking me why I did that. He wanted me to crush the cat in the garbage truck. I slap him around a few times. He asks me if I know who he is. I'm Cedric Fredward, the most successful art gallerist in Chicago. Right off the bat, I know he's a drug addict because his lips are the same color as the rest of his face skin. He tells me that he's going to have me killed. I say, "Oh yeah, do it, pussy." I push him to the ground and he falls right into a puddle of mud. I glare at him. I slap the garbage truck and hop on as it's driving away to the next yard. The next night, 4 men surround my house and break in. They get up to my bedroom and start hitting what they think is me on the bed with baseball bats. They are all out of breath and looking at each other after hitting what they think was me sleeping on the bed. They lift up the covers and a bunch of dead animals that I duct taped together sit there before them. They say, "What the hell?" While looking at each other, I flick on a strobe light to throw them off balance and jump out of the closet and knock each one out with my bare hands. They awaken in the basement naked on a tarp with bright fluorescent lights and a plastic tarp on the ground. I tell them the only way you guys can leave here is by spraying clown in this big gulp cup, or else. I rev up a chainsaw I'm holding. I circle around them with a chainsaw and I'm screaming at them to get to work now. They start fearfully pleasuring each other, spraying rope after rope into the big gulp. They are stretching and relaxing and panting after all of the blasting that they did, and they ask me what they want all the clown for. I say, "It's for your boss." The next day, I start throwing the garbage into the woman's yard to draw the gallerist out. He comes out screaming, wearing a construction hat, looking for me, but I'm nowhere to be found. Little does he know that I'm inside the house already, and I find that the woman who lives there is bedridden. I find that he has been poisoning her because there's a bunch of rat poison up there as well. I tell her that everything is going to be okay. And she says, "My nephew is taking care of me." I tell her, I'm going to go have a talk with him. I find the gallerist. I force the gallerist to drink all of the clown in front of me. He asks for some ice because it is room temperature, and I tell him, "You better start chugging, or I'm going to post a racially insensitive post on your Instagram account." He chugs harder than anyone has ever chugged before. I videotape the whole thing. I send the whole video out on his social media accounts, and it goes viral. And he becomes more famous than he was before, and he's described as the next famous gallerist of all time. I move in with the woman, and I take care of her, but I keep my job as a garbage man. Every Tuesday and Saturday night, she dances and places her butt in my face, and we have intense love that scares both of us, but has us coming back for more every time. That's it.
That had me all warmed up.
Yeah.
You know how much I love, ejaculating to save your own life, like being forced to ejaculate in like a life or death situation.
I mean, I'm definitely inspired by you and John.
But you just took it to a whole new level. Putting the gallerist in a position of you have to drink this human blast, this cup of human blast.
Yeah, it's like Saw style shit.
Yeah, or your reputation is slightly dinged from a racially insensitive post.
Yeah.
He just got to chugging that cum.
He tried to buy a little bit of time by asking for ice, but I said no.
Yeah. You're not going to let him dilute the cum with the ice, because he would just put it in there. And granted, the cum would have still been warm at that point, so it just melted in there. He's not getting off that easy.
It's like you might as well just get it over with.
Yeah, just suck it down like Jello.
Yeah, it's no big deal.
Yeah, who cares? It's good for you. Man, that was great.
Also, I didn't mention this, but the woman is like, she's beautiful. Like, she looks really good, and she
That's
has
how I pictured her.
She has an interesting face. She's beautiful, but she has like a compelling, interesting face that you just want to stare at. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Doesn't need to wear any makeup.
No,
could if she wanted to, but doesn't have to.
Yeah, it's just like icing on the cake. You still want the cake.
Exactly. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
That's kind of like a equalizer a little bit. There's a little bit of equalizer in there, and I don't know. It'd be cool to be strong.
It would be cool to be strong. That's cool.
Know how to handle yourself in a fight. That'd be cool.
Yeah. I also have the no hold. I like the no holds idea. That got me thinking about what that would be like. Can you imagine the restraint it would take to not put your hands on just whoever was making love to you?
Yeah, that's crazy. What a cool idea.
Whoever came up with that must be a millionaire.
No holds. Just sit on your hands. It's obviously like, oh yeah. Whatever. It's a great story.
Oh man.
So what you cooking with?
So I'm a guy. Let me take a minute to build up this character. I'm a guy who works at a minimum wage job. I'm like in my 30s with a bunch of other like guys in their like early 20s. For some reason, I'm still working at this minimum wage job, and I'm constantly exaggerating about the sex that I have, lying about just all sorts of stuff that's easily proved false, but everybody's kind of like scared of me. So they just, kind of go along to get along. And I'm out at at a thrift store buying a new winter coat, and I've got a couple of different starter jackets that I found there. I'm leaving the store and going out to the parking lot to catch the bus, and these three guys in like hoods and robes approach me, and they say, talking in basically like this very weird kind of cadence. One talks, then one finishes the sentence, and the third one will talk. And it's just this very weird thing. And they're telling me, they're like, we came from the future to bring you to our time. We need you, somebody as powerful as you, to lead us into the next stage of human evolution. And I'm like, oh man, that sounds cool. Let's, I'll go with you. What the fuck? Who cares? So they take me back to their car, and it's like a white van with no windows, and it smells like three guys have been living in there for a while. I'm huddled up in the back of the van with them, and the lights are out, and they hit a button, and I'm all of a sudden zapped into the future, and I step out, and it's this like futuristic utopia where everything is like sterile. People are just kind of like walking with just like these dead stares, walking around, and everything's running really smoothly. Nobody seems particularly sad or upset, but nobody seems happy. And I'm like, wow, what the fuck is going on in this place? And they're like, this is our future. And I'm like, oh yeah? I don't know, what do you want me to do here? How do you want me to lead you? And they're like, years and years and years ago, generations ago, the shame that was brought on to men from cancel culture disincentivized men from being sexual beings. So over several evolutionary generations, we've learned, both men and women have learned to never to come, never to even get hard. We just don't have any sexual instinct. We just never learned how to do that. And all the procreation is done with machines and extracting of sperm and insemination, and there's no sexual arousal. And I'm like, that sounds like fucked up. In fact, watch this, and I start jacking off. Immediately, these drones sense that I'm jacking off, and they encroach upon me, and they're like, this is a forbidden activity, and they start open firing on me. And I'm like, oh, fuck, and I get to running down this hallway, this like big long hallway, and they're shooting at me, and I'm ducking bullets, and I hide behind a corner, and I jump out, and I say, hey, drones, check this out. And I start giving them like a long stroke with my dick, to lure them in, to like come closer to me. And I duck behind the pillar, and as soon as I come close, I hit them with a 3-piece and knock them, all 3 of them out, hit the ground. I'm like, yeah, motherfucker. And I finish jacking off. These sirens start to go off. I'm like, what the fuck is going on here? And these guys with guns, SWAT team style, just like swarm me. And so I'm like, the fuck, I'm not going to go down like that. So I start, hitting them each one, like knock one out, duck, boom. Hit one with the elbow, boom, knock them out. Take one down with a leg chokehold, boom, boom, boom. Grab a gun, brah, rah, rah, rah. All headshots, So I just killed probably 20, 25 people. And I got my gun, and I'm like, this is a fucked up ass society. Who's in charge here? I grab one who's still alive, and I jam a gun in his mouth. And I'm like, who's in charge here? He's like, oh, I just blow his head off before he has a chance to respond. I grab the next guy. I'm like, who's in charge here? And he like points, and there's this big house at the top of a hill where obviously the president or whatever lives, of the king of this future. And I'm like, I gotta change this shit. This shit's fucked up. Like, nobody can come. Nobody's jacking off. Nobody's fucking or doing butt stuff or anything like that. I head up to this hill, and there's all these armed guards. I get up on top of a tree, and I like aim really carefully. I still have one of these guns that I picked off one of these guys, and I go 4 shots, 1 shot, 1 kill, all 4 drop. I run into this compound, just completely unmolested. I bust up into the chambers, and I'm like, who's in charge here? And the king or whatever is like, I'm in charge here. And so I run up to him, and he's this like old dude, and I've got a gun to his head, and his guards come up, but they're like, King's like, don't do anything. We can talk this thing over. Like, he's trying to reason with me. Mm-hmm. And he's like, what are you doing? What brings this violence into our peaceful community?
Fuck this dude.
Yeah, and I'm like, none of you motherfuckers are coming. Why isn't anybody fucking around here? Why isn't anybody letting anybody jack off? I tried to jack off, and I almost get my ass killed. Fuck this. And the old king goes on to tell me the story about how once there was a time when men and women and non-binary people and poly people and everything were all coming, and that just kind of went away. And I'm like, you never been hard before? And he's like, yes, once when I was 18 years old. I think I got hard. And I'm like, all right, I know how to fix this. So I jam the gun in his back really hard, like hard enough to leave a bruise. And I bend him over, and I pull his pants down. And I get my thumb, I spin on my thumb, and I just kind of get it up in his ass. And I move it around a little bit. And I feel that he's starting to like kind of wiggle around in pleasure. And nobody wants to try to stop me because I've got this gun on his back. And he's like squirming around, and I can feel he's starting to sweat. And I start to get this rhythm with him, like when you like are moving in the rhythm of somebody else's like pleasure. And I milk him. He ropes. He's probably the first guy to rope in 500 years in this whole society. And he's just, people talk about pre-cum a lot, and that's fine. That's a thing, right? People don't talk about post-cum, He just ropes. He makes this big rope, and then probably for the next like minute or so, just like these little drips of cum are coming off his dick. And he's like, oh, that was amazing. Why did we all stop doing that? And he makes a proclamation. He like goes out on the balcony, and there's all these people around. They're gathering. They're in fear because of this outsider that's coming to their society. So they're looking for guidance from this king. And this king is like, I hereby decree that from this day forward, everybody can fuck and suck and get fucked and come in any way that they want. And there's a big ticker tape parade to celebrate it. And I'm on like the big float with the king. And I'm like eating a woman, making her come. And somebody's having sex with me. A guy's like having sex with me. And I'm fingering a woman with my other hand and jacking a guy off with my other hand. And I'm like, this is a fucking incredible. And it's like a ticker tape parade, except instead of ticker tape, guys are jacking off and women are squirting from like the rooftops and the windows. And that becomes their new Independence Day.
Dude.
How cool would that be?
That is really cool, but hold on a second. The three guys approach you again after the parade.
Mm-hmm. Oh, I like where this is going. Uh-huh.
They're like, we got to send you back home. But before you do, you got to make us blast. You blast them. They send you back home.
Mm-hmm.
You got to go to work the next day.
Mm.
You tell all these guys your story from work.
Yeah.
They don't believe a goddamn word you say.
No.
They're laughing. You overhear them laughing at you.
Mm-hmm.
You're walking out. You shake your head. You're like, doesn't bother me none, man. Because I know the truth.
Yeah, I like that.
But yeah, man, fuck that dude. That old guy. Second you introduced him, I was just like,
check this out.
Yo, what's up?
Put a pin in that. So they don't believe me. I'm outside on my smoke break, and one of the guys comes out and he's like, hey, you got a light? Pull out the lighter. I hold it up to his cigarette, and he can smell my fingers. And he's like, oh shit.
It do be true then.
There's that like doubt in his mind. He's like, man, this motherfucker might have actually went forward in time.
You have a glimmer in your eye. You know what I mean? You definitely know something.
Yeah. But he doesn't want to get made fun of by his peers, so he doesn't say anything. But he knows that I went. Imagine knowing that you know that somebody went into the future, but you just can't say anything because nobody's going to believe you.
You're kind of referencing that guy Alex we used to work with at the movie theater.
Yeah,
who would just
compulsive liar.
Yeah,
he's who came to, because I'm like, who would this guy be that they would bring back in time, and it would be a guy like him, like a compulsive liar who. Yeah. Falls like you're not really sure if the stories, like there's probably some kernel of truth to the stories, but they're largely completely made up, you know?
Yeah.
Like that would only happen to a guy like that.
Yeah. Him telling us that he got a hand job from a stranger on the bus to the south side, driving all the way from the north side to the south side backwards because the car couldn't drive forward. Helping his friend beat rape charges by being its lawyer. and we're supposed to like because it was mildly threatening too.
Because he would always talk about how he did time and he was like a GD and all this other shit. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And he just had like those crazy eyes.
Yeah, he had a nervous energy to him. Everyone was kind of afraid of him.
You just want to stay on his good side is the thing, you know?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, you know he would make your life living hell if he didn't like you. He wouldn't be able to control himself.
Yeah, and if you just, listen to these tall tales and kind of like nod along, and be like, oh, yeah, that's cool. That's crazy.
I had diarrhea today.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, I think I'm allergic to everything. I think it's like I had some milk. I'm just shitting my ass off, man.
You might have IBS.
I do.
So, are you drinking a lot of caffeine?
All day long.
That's probably it too. That's what usually does it for me. I hit like a threshold where if I hit the certain amount of caffeine, I just get the runs.
Maybe that's what it is. I don't know. Soft gluten. I'm trying to drag this out.
Mm-hmm.
I was thinking it'd be cool to just like talk about absolutely the dumbest shit while eating.
Just wasting
Just fun doing
everybody's time.
Just running the clock. Okay.
All right, man. I'll talk to you soon.